Today I want to show you how I recreated Metro Boomin's CREEPIN with The Weeknd and 21 Savage. Here is how the beat sounds like. CREEPIN is probably my favorite song of the new Metro Boomin's album because The Weeknd is covering legendary R&B song originally released in 2004 called I Don't Wanna Know by Mario Winans.
And if you're creeping, please don't let it show. Oh baby, I don't wanna know.
But actually there is way more to it. Here is a quick history lesson for you guys. So the beat that Mario Winans is using in his record is actually sampling another song released in 1996 called Ready or Not by the Fugees.
Ready or not, here I come, you can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly.
But it doesn't stop there though, because the Fugees are also sampling. The song Ready or Not by Fugees is sampling Enya's record that I cannot pronounce the name of, dating all the way back to 1987. And this is where the initial sample comes from. How crazy is that? Now that we know the history of the original sample, let's get to the production, shall we? So there are quite a few things happening within the intro of the instrumental. Obviously everything kind of starts off with a sample, and then there is a layer of violin, and then there is also a layer of lead synth that is kind of playing throughout the whole beat pretty much. And to be honest, I struggled a little bit to figure which part of Enya's song Metro was sampling, so I kinda tried to sample a few parts from the Enya's song, and then I just sticked with this blue part right here. It actually matches the waveform of the original instrumental of Metro, so I think this is the part that was actually sampled. So the original beat is at 98 beats per minute, so I had to adjust my sample, kinda time stretch it, and also to kinda adjust it to the grid so it's on time. For the processing, all I did is I've added RC20 to distort the sample a little bit, and then I've just added Ableton stock EQ, because actually you can barely hear the sample in the original beat. It's really filtered out, okay? So after, on top of the main sample, I've added the violin. I did not find the exact sample that Metro was using in his beat, so the one that I had on my laptop was a Stradivari violin for Contact 7, so I kinda ran with that one, because to me the main purpose of this video is kinda to explain you the thought process behind this beat using the similar sounds and techniques that Metro was using. So for the violin I've made two layers, which is like a lower octave and higher octave, because if you listen to the original beat you can tell that the violin is kind of harmonizing, and it's also panned to the left and to the right. There is two different levels. After, as I told you, I'm adding this lead layer that is kind of playing throughout the whole beat. I could not find again the original preset, but I understood that the sound that he was using is kind of really brassy, it's kind of string lead. So the lead is playing this pattern and it sounds like this on its own. Just to tell you real quick, for the processing I've used retro color to distort the lead a little bit, and then also I've used the Serum effects to again distort even more, and also Ableton stock EQ to filter the sound, okay? So the sample, the violin and the lead together would sound like this. That's pretty much it for the first part of the beat. So for the second part of the beat, before beat actually drops, you have all the same sounds plus the drum pattern, but everything is kind of filtered out. If you listen to the beat before the beat drops, you can hear that everything goes kind of underwater and filtered out. So in order to achieve this underwater effect, all I did, I've just added the Ableton stock EQ on the master and I filtered everything. I just high passed everything before the beat dropped and then I just opened the EQ again when the beat actually comes in, okay? So with the filter on, it sounds like this. And for the pre-drop section, that's all there is really, except this one small thing, which is the impact sound. And that takes us to the drop number 1. So on top of the lead that we've used for the intro that I've showed you before, I've added another layer of strings from Omnisphere to kind of beef up the sound a little bit. I'm also adding the Reese bass and I'm also adding some drums, obviously. The string sound that I'm using, it's actually a brass sound. It's coming from Omnisphere. It's this preset right here. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you that I've added another background pad again because I tried to recreate this lead sound that Metro had. So I had to layer a couple sounds together. And to be honest, you can barely hear this pad. It's very much in the background. It's just kind of for the stereo width because I felt like the sound that Metro was using in his production had a lot of stereo width. So I really wanted to achieve the same result, okay? That's pretty much it for the leads and strings and stuff like that. Coming up next we have the bass line. The bass preset is coming from Omnisphere. I'll show it to you in a second, but before that let me just show you how it sounds on its own, okay? The preset that I'm using for the bass, it's called Green Taurus Bass from Omnisphere, okay? And to process the bass, all I did is I've just added a sidechain compressor for the kick to shine through a bit more. Then I've added the basic Ableton stock compressor that I'm always adding on my basses, which is called Kick Tight. That's the preset. And then just to distort the bass, I've added a little bit of RC20 as usual, okay? The last thing that we have to cover is a drum pattern, and the drum pattern only consists out of 4 sounds, which is crazy. He's only using the kick drum, snare, the hi-hat and the open hi-hat, and it's a really simple pattern just to kind of complement the sample. And that's pretty much the drum pattern. All I did, I was kind of really focusing on finding exactly the same sounding drum sounds. I tried as much as I could and I think I did quite a good job because the sounds that I have pretty much sounds exactly like the drum sounds that he is using for the original beat. I can just show you guys the sounds. So kick drum is coming from Scott Scourge Splice Pack. After I have the snare drum, which I found on Splice as well, all I did, I just kind of tuned it a little bit so it sounds a bit higher pitched because I kind of wanted to get my snare as close as possible to the original, so I had to tune it a little bit. After I have this trap hi-hat from Splice, and I'm doing the same thing for the hi-hat. I'm just tuning the hi-hat a bit so it would match the tone of the original hi-hat in the beat, okay? The last sound is the open hi-hat, which I found somewhere in my samples. It's called FM Open Hat. So you probably have noticed that for the second part of the drop they are switching up the drums and they're also adding this small lead sound. You can kind of recognize it if you listen really carefully. So the lead that they are using, I'm pretty sure, I'm convinced that it's the same exact lead. I found it as an accident because as I was listening to the original, I tried to figure what type of lead is that, you know, and it really sounded like a whistle to me. So all I did, I've literally typed in whistle into the Omnisphere search and I found this lead, and to me it sounds exactly as the lead that they are using in the original beat. So literally the only thing we have to cover still is this drum loop that is coming in for the second part of the drop in a beat. But if you've paid attention in the beginning of the video when I was explaining you where the original sample is coming from, you can hear this exact drum beat playing in the Mario Winans version of the song. So Metro basically sampled the whole drum loop from the version of Mario Winans' record of I Don't Wanna Know. And to be honest, I kinda did the same thing. I've used this AI website to extract the drum loop, and now I have this drum loop in my project without any other layers. And before I play you the final beat, I just wanna mention that actually if you compare the both drum beats, the one that I've extracted from the Mario Winans song and the one that they are using in the original, the drum pattern is exactly like this, but the sounds are not exactly like that. So I think what they did, they actually recreated the drum pattern that was from Mario Winans song, kind of the same rhythm, but the sounds are slightly different, you know. It feels the same, but those are not exactly the same sounds. But just for the sake of this video and to save some time, I kept the drum loop from Mario Winans song, okay? There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've learned something new from this video. If you didn't, hopefully you had fun watching. I'm trying really hard to get to my 500 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you feel like the content was good and valuable, feel free to subscribe to the channel, okay? My name is Almostxfamous, this is Richie, we're gonna see you in the next one. Peace out.